everybody. Thanks for joining the Mopar Show. I appreciate it. We have a special guest here. He is a music producer. You may see him more than once because he like to tell a story. He have a song
Yeah.
called Therapy Session, and it's really deep. And in the song Therapy Session, it's even geared towards some of the stuff we're talking about today. Today's
Yeah.
topic is how was kids affected when a home is broken. So let's get started. And first, we'd like to give honor to God, Jesus Christ, who's head of our lives. So we thank you, Lord. Please bless this podcast and let it touch everyone who hears it. Also, now what we do is a mental health check. Are you okay, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, are you comfortable talking about this, Mr. Kamarj?
Yeah, we definitely to talk about it. I've grown past a lot of things that would stop me from being able to speak. So I've forgiven a lot of situations. I've grown up, you could say.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to thank you for being a part of the show here, willing to tell your story, the truth, because, like I say, this is real life, real discussions. So let me ask you: did you grow up in a two-family household, two parents household?
The start, yes, and then it switched to no. So it started off yes, younger childhood. As started getting older, it separated.
Before the home was broken, how did you feel like before the home was broken? We have both parents in the home.
See, when I had both parents in the house, it was great. You know, what I mean, like any child would want both of their parents to be in the house so you could have both at all times. But it was more so, it was like a feeling of everything felt glued together. Everything felt tied together. Everything felt normal. It felt right. As I'm not gonna lie though, as I began to get older, it started becoming more, more obvious that things weren't always as great as it was or as great as it seemed. So, starting out younger childhood, it was great, but as you got older, you start realizing certain things. So it wasn't the best experience anymore.
Hmm. You said the older you get, like first it felt right, it felt like it's glued together, tightly together. But as you get older, you realize it's not so good as it seems.
Yeah, it's more so like, when you're a child, you don't know too much. All you really know is just being a child, living your life and having fun. But as you get older, you start becoming a little bit more aware of certain people's actions. You start becoming more observant. You start learning more life.
Oh,
You
I
start
see.
maturing and you start realizing things aren't as you may have believed it to be. If you got, and it's just an example, but if you got like the dad and the mom, bickering as a child, you may not pay too much attention to it. You may think it's just your parents having a conversation, but as you got older and you start listening to more of the words being said towards each other, you start to realize like these two really don't like each other like that, and that does create a toxic environment. But that's why I said that. As you get older, you start noticing these things, but as a younger child, you notice too. Don't get me wrong, but you don't. It doesn't hit you as you are when you are older. If that makes sense.
Right. So how did it affect you when the two parents broke up or separated? One left the home.
Destroyed. If anything, it made it feel like you were the problem, or it made it feel as if
Wow.
like maybe I did something. Like for me, I'll speak from my own perspective. Uh, for me, my parents did separate. Um, it was more so like, am I the issue? Am I what caused them to separate? Is it my existence that's making it seem as if things are like, am I the one who's destroying everything right now? Am I the home breaker? You know what I mean? As a child, you do think that. Probably not every child, but for me, it came off that way. It was just kind of like maybe I'm the reason why all of this is going on and happening. But again, though, that goes kind of like to my first point, to where as a child you don't know too much. You know what I mean? You just try to make out or make it to be out what you know, but you don't know much. But then as you get older, you start realizing more and more and seeing things as it's supposed to be saw.
Yeah, you keep saying from your perspective as you, how many brothers and sisters did you have in the home?
Three sisters, no brothers, three sisters. It
Okay.
was so I was, and then being the oldest, I had to be more so like the backbone, the strength of everyone, the one who kept the little sisters protected, and you know what I mean. So it was a lot more on my shoulders that I could try to get off of theirs. So, but I was the only boy out of three other sisters.
So yeah, you felt the double pressure. First, you said you felt as though it maybe questioning yourself: is it your fault? Is
Yeah,
it your fault? Are you the cause of this? And then more pressure on that because you're the oldest, so you feel like you have to be the man in the house and protect your sisters.
yeah, yeah. That definitely was some, like a heavy weight that was on the over the shoulders, especially with things not going as good in the house between the parents. It it definitely feels like heavy weights is just sitting on top of you, and it's like, how do you get rid of the weights when you kind of can't, because that's your environment. So you know,
Okay. So by you feeling like maybe is it my fault? Did you have any negative thoughts like suicidal,
very much
running
so.
away?
Very much so. Pretty much, and to be honest with you, and I'm comfortable talking about this. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I've grown to accept it and move past things. But pretty much my whole entire younger life, I'm not gonna lie to you, I always felt more on the suicidal edge. Actually, as a matter of fact, going to school, because not to get off topic, but even going to school wasn't even the best place for me to be. So I used to always write in the notebook about. And the funny thing is, I used to make it in songs because obviously I'm a music producer, and I make music, but I've always been doing music for my pretty much my whole life. And I used to write songs about like suicide and like killing myself and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Wow.
things just things weren't right. It wasn't right at home. It wasn't right at school. You know what I'm saying? You go to school, you get bullied all the time, and then you go back home, and it's like, well, now you just got your parents arguing. You know what I'm saying? And then you got your sisters crying and whatnot, and you just the one in the middle of it all. Or at least that's how it felt. That's how I felt. So yes, I definitely used to think about suicide. Used to a lot of self hate, a lot of self hate. Um, yeah, it was more so. It was so much so to the point where I was like, I didn't even want my kids to ever have to experience that, because I know not everybody not everybody gets past that. You know what I'm saying? Some people actually do go through with killing themselves. Some people lose all type of sanity. Not everybody can handle that type of trauma. Everybody's trauma response is different.
Right.
So, so yeah, it definitely had those thoughts. Definitely had those.
So when you so who left the home, the mom or the dad?
Um, well, in my case, the dad left. Um, at being younger, it did just seem as if like he just upped and left, and it was like why, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was definitely say the dad left first. Being older, looking back on the situation, it's one of those, like, it's kind of hard to explain things. It's like the you know the dad left first, but then it's like who really left emotionally or mentally first. I don't know. You know what I mean? Who
Right.
left physically? Who left? It will be the dad. Um, but emotionally, mentally, stuff like that. Who left first? I don't know, because looking at the history of it, it just seemed like just kind of constant bickering and arguing. So it's just who knows? Who knows?
Okay. When the dad left the home, like, did you not see him again or?
No, we've seen him. He didn't like just disappear. So I guess that's a good point. I shouldn't. He may have left the house, but he didn't disappear. You know what I mean? He still stayed around to for the kids. I will admit one thing. I do feel like I probably have seen him a lot more than my sisters. Um, but that goes more into like another type of topic.
I got you. I got you. So, you said you had suicidal thoughts and everything, and so you had the pressure at home when both parents was there. You had the pressure at home when a parent left, and you also had pressure at school. That's a lot of pressure.
A lot.
So, you had it developed suicidal thoughts and everything like that. So, did you ever try to act out any of those thoughts?
Yes. Once. Okay, I've always had thoughts for the longest time, but I did actually try to act them out one time. Except that wasn't. that wasn't more so because of the parents though. That was after I got older. Um, I want to say like, see, it's been some time now, but maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and it wasn't because of the parents though. So don't think that the attempt was because of that. That was more so just other things going on in life. But yeah, I'll say like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, so you try to commit a thought, not a thought, but the act 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And how long ago been since your parents been apart?
Ooh, oh, it's been several years. I actually can't. I actually don't know. I don't know when exactly they broke up. I just know it's been several years, several years. It's been a long time since they've been together.
So even though it's been several years, you still was carrying this weight around
Mm-hmm.
with the same thoughts.
Yeah. And the reason being is because I don't exactly know how to get rid of it. It seems as if, see, the thing is with me, I honestly, and I tell everybody this, everybody who knows me closely knows that I always say I feel like I'm cursed. And the reason why I say that is because it seems like my whole life is just built around her. And and by the way, that's also in therapy session. If you listen to therapy session, I say that, you know what I'm saying? I always say it feels like my whole life was built around her because it started off with the parents. They eventually, obviously once they all separated, uh, um, that part kind of calmed down. It wasn't more so any type of altercations because they separated in two different households. But as life went on for me, though, it just seemed like things kept happening. Things kept happening in a negative way, um, which is what kind of caused those thoughts to come about. Which is what kind of actually had me at one point try to do it because it was too much weight on my shoulders. I couldn't take the weight anymore.
Mm.
Luckily, things never went through successfully, but yeah, that kind of led me down that path.
Oh, interesting. So since your parents separated, did you ever want your parents to get back together?
At one point, yes. Matter of fact, for a long time, I wanted them to get back together because I felt like maybe things went wrong because of just misunderstandings, miscommunications, things that could have been worked out, and maybe just needed a little bit of guidance or like a little bit of knowledge as far as what can do to fix it. But it changed. I'm not gonna lie to you. That thought quickly changed. I said, you know what? Y'all are miserable for each other. Y'all, I personally don't feel like my parents are meant for each other. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I do give them props for them both fighting for their marriage, fighting for their love. Shout out to them. I promise you, for real. That's some true dedication. But I've learned, or at least me personally, just me personally, I've learned that some things are not worth fighting for. You destroy yourself in the process. It's how the saying goes. You come in this world alone, you're gonna leave this world alone. Why destroy yourself fighting for something that I feel as if you know is not gonna work? You know it's not gonna work, but you keep that love and faith alive to try to make it work. And that's good. That's honorable, but at the same time, why destroy yourself in the process and then you waste time? Life only goes forward, it doesn't go back. So yes, now I honestly say I don't feel like they meant to be together. I feel like if anything, just get a good personal friendship relationship, just so for the kids, me and my sisters. But other than else, nah,
Right.
nope, nope.
Okay. Well, have you ever felt neglected while the parents in the home or broken or while the home broken up? Have any parent ever neglected you for whatever reason? Or
Nah, I don't. I personally don't feel neglected. If anything, that's more of a question for my sisters because I do know, like I said, I do feel as if I may have had more attention and more of a personal bonding with my dad versus my sisters. Um, but I do feel like that question would be more very good for them. But as far as me though, no, I don't feel any type of like I feel like it was equal between both. I didn't feel like I got no bad, no animosity towards me. No, I like this one better than that one. No, it still felt normal and right.
okay. Are you a father yourself now?
Yes, I got two girls,
Ah, two girls. Okay, sweet. What are their names?
Chloe and Kenley.
Chloe and Kenley. What years are they?
One is going on 3. She'll be 3 within the month actually, and the other one is a year old. She just turned. She just recently turned a year old.
Great. So now that you're a father and you have a broader understanding of what it's like to be a man in a home, things of that nature. If you were a parent back when your parents was together, would you have done things differently? Like, what would you done differently if she was on the other foot? If you're in a home with all that bickering and arguing,
I'm
is
not
it
gonna lie to you.
safer?
Actually, I'll even speak from my own personal experiences with that because I have had somewhat of that with my first child's mother. No disrespect to her, um, but things were not going great between us. We, like I said, no disrespect to her, but we just had to do too many differences. I think in the case of me and her, it's not that she's a bad person. She's a great mother to my daughter. I just think it's just more so our differences were just too big. We were just on two different, levels of life, and I think we kind of rushed things a bit. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not putting fault on her. I'm putting fault on myself. I think it was a collective thing where it just went wrong at. So what I ended up doing, based on my own history, I know how it is to grow up in a separate household where two parents obviously dislike each other, but they're trying to stay together for the kids' sake. It it does. I personally believe it does more mental damage than good. So I'm not gonna lie. In my case, I decided to separate myself, and I did ended up leaving. And we obviously separated, went our different ways, and we're trying to co-parent now. But I just would rather my child grow up in a household with two happy parents versus two unhappy parents, but in the same household. Because the kid's gonna feel that energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're gonna feel that energy. They're literally a replica of you and the other person. They're gonna feel that. So I didn't want that for her. I didn't want that for her.
I don't know if this matters or not though, because you mentioned you felt it was your fault for all the argument. Argument was and I guess that's a good idea for the audience to know now. When you're in a home, do not argue in front of your children because they're hearing this. They're gonna make their own perception as to why you're arguing. They're gonna make them feel like maybe it's my fault, and that's what developed these suicidal thoughts. Maybe they start thinking that if I'm not here, they won't be arguing.
It's true.
Why was I
That's
born?
very true. I agree with that 100%. It do make you think like, well, if this gonna be this way, then why am I here? Like you know what I mean? You really do get those thoughts that you are the problem.
Mm.
That's honest God truth. You get those thoughts that you are the issue.
Any argument, did they say like you bring up any kids' names or anything like that? For you to...
No, never brought up no names or anything. But as a child, you're just gonna obviously try to you're gonna try to figure it out yourself.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. It's not like the arguments happened in front of us. Sometimes it did, but excuse me. If anything, it was more so in a different room, but you can hear it. And what made it even worse is that it went above verbal. It got physical, so that even made it worse.
So what was the arguments about, if you can recall any?
Um, uh, Probably I know most times it's usually around like what one person's doing for the other person. If one person's talking to somebody else,
Right.
kind of allegations and stuff like that. Um, that's pretty much what I can recall. I really try to be letting stuff like that go, so I don't really
Right.
try to recall it on too much. But I just know it shouldn't have got as far as it did. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
What?
that's that. Yeah.
Take me back to that day. How did you felt when your father finally left the house? Was you there when he left the house? Like when
I believe I was there. If I'm not mistaken, if I can recall the exact time, I believe I was there. It was it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for any kid to deal with that. Like, especially when you don't understand the scenario or what's going on. So you're gonna try to use the best understanding that you can come up with, which is maybe I'm the issue. Like, why are my parents going two separate ways? And and it also comes to, like I said too, you can feel that energy. Sure, it may not be coming off directed at you, but you can feel it, and you're gonna think that you're the problem, or at least that's in my case. I'm sure some other people probably got better understandings or knew kind of what was going on, but in my case, it just felt as if I was the problem.
So, did any parent move on, like get remarried or a different
Yes,
relationship?
I know my dad. He got married again, and this is part of the reason why I feel like I may have had a little bit of a better, bond or relationship with my dad is because I more so accepted the newer wife. My sister's not so much. Obviously, it kind of turned into like two separated groups. You know, you got the mom and then you got the stepmom. Um, I mean, not much you can do with that. You know what I mean? It's either you accept it or you don't. So that is one reason why I do feel like I probably had a bigger relationship with my dad. But yeah.
Well, with your dad new marriage, how did that turn out for you? Like, how would you did you feel accepted or?
I mean, I felt accepted. I did feel accepted. I mean, being in the middle of it, you hear things from one side, you hear things from the other side. For me, honestly, it got to the point where I stopped caring. I to be honest with you, I stopped caring. I was like, man, look, anything that go on with the new marriage, that's between y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all work that out. Y'all figure that out. Anything going on with moms and the old marriage, that's between y'all. Y'all figure that out. I'm like, it got to the point where I got tired of dealing with it. I was like, I don't even want to hear about it no more because it kept happening. It was nonstop over the course, like even broken up, they still argue like they were together.
But what's the argue about? If one moved on, a new
That's what I'm
marriage.
saying. Like, what do y'all got to even talk about? I mean, we by this point in time, the kids was pretty much grown. I mean, even then, we all have phones. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, what do y'all got to argue about? That's why I kind of came to the conclusion that they still love each other. They just very this is not meant for each other though. Like I do feel like you can love somebody, but there's just some people you just have to love from a distance because you cannot love them up close. It just never works out. But you can love from a distance though, and it seemed like it's cool. Like y'all ever hung around somebody where you know what I'm saying y'all cool separated, but the moment y'all be together for too long, y'all start bumping heads. It kind of was like that, and so yeah, man, yeah. I honestly, I try to disassociate myself when it comes down to any arguments between them or between the new married couple or the old couple.
So you were still caught up in the crossfire,
I
even
always
though.
get caught up in the crossfire,
But
no matter
how
what.
does that happen? How did you get caught up in the crossfire? Your dad agree got married. How did that involve you? How do you get up in the crossfire?
Because I've always heard that it's and I'm gonna put it this way: it's not that I get put into the arguments. Like it's not that it's oh Kamari said this or he did that. It's never like that. It's more so, hey, man, look at what happened. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of that. And I'm just sitting there like, And then I get called from the other side. Man, guess what? They done did this, they done did that. I'm just like so then I'm gonna tell y'all exactly like this. I'll be like, hey, so one good thing that'll work is if y'all stop talking to each other. You know what I'm saying? You can block him, you can get your number changed. I mean, we got phones. This point the kids got phones. You know what I'm saying? Kids can easily reach out to each single parent and talk about whatever issues or problems they got. But it was like, why do y'all keep talking to each other? That's the thing. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. The kids is grown. You know what I'm saying? One of us in the hospital or something, and obviously the other person needs to know. We'll call and tell you. You know what I'm saying? We'll let you know. But I don't know. That's why I really started disassociating myself. I used to always give my advice on what to do. Then I was like, I don't care. I look, y'all gonna do this until the day y'all die. So look, I just hope y'all find happiness, y'all find peace within yourself.
Well, how did your new stepmom treat you?
I mean, I had no problems. I didn't have any issues. Like I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It was kind of normal. You know what I'm saying? It was, come out, hang out, play games. We used to play board games all the time. We used to play like Monopoly. Used to come and just hang out. Used to go out, Potawatomi. You know what I'm saying? Casinos. It was cool. It was normal. So I didn't feel I didn't have no issues. But
Like a normal life.
right. It was like a normal life. Like I had no problem. I personally had no issues. I know there was some issues though with my sisters, But as far as me, I mean, I didn't. It was like it was just normal.
Okay. Did your mom accept the new stepmom?
No, no, not at all, not at all. No, not at all. But I'm not gonna lie. In that case, though, I don't know too much of what is the truth, what's the lie. I've heard though that pops cheated with moms with her, which is obviously if that is the truth, then that would make it all automatically start off as a bad relationship if he did cheat with this person. But when it comes down to that, I don't know the truth or any of that. So I usually just let that be like whatever happened happened, and now it's just time to move on. Things happen. People probably made bad decisions. Not putting blame off on anybody. Both sides probably made really bad decisions that just led down to this point in life. But since we're here at this point in life, now let's just figure out how to make the next point in life better. That's how I look at the situation.
Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up if pops cheated with, this new girl with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know in your song therapy session you mentioned something like that. What do you think was the straw that broke the camel's back? The reason for the divorce? Because I know you mentioned that in your song therapy section.
I had to definitely play it again. It's been some years. I
I
dropped
think you
that track. I should
said
drop it again.
something about people cheated.
I did, and I think the lyrics was people cheated, and now it has them trying to rip their hair, and rip their hair was just a reference to the physical altercation. Um, it was always talks about some cheating going on,
Right.
whether if it was with moms or whether if it was with the pops. It was always talks about cheating going on both sides.
Right.
I don't know, what's all true, what's all not true. Obviously, only people who know the full truth are the people who are involved in the situation. But that's just kind of what I've always heard over the course of years is that cheating on pop side, cheating on mom side, it was just kind of like a lot of back and forth.
Let the audience know how can they hear this song therapy session.
It's actually on YouTube. I got it dropped on YouTube. I'm gonna tell the host, you know what I'm saying? I want Mo Pies to put the link to the video in the comments or in the description. Y'all should check it out. It's actually a really good song though. It came from the heart. I really need to redo it though. It's from a long time ago. I'm much better than I am now, and so I really need to redo the lyrics. I can get a lot more clear vocals, a lot more cleaner production. So definitely check it out though. It's nice. It gets you thinking. It's all true too. It's all my truth. I'm gonna put it that way. It's all my truth.
Okay.
All my truth.
Now, since you are growing up now, during this time when your parents were out the home, have any parent downplayed another parent to the child?
That's funny you asked that. Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. Okay, so check this out, right? So it happens on both sides. Man, sometimes the dad downplay the mom, sometimes the mom downplay the dad. But this is you see why I said earlier though, why I disassociate myself? Because it's gonna happen till the day they die. I've come to realize that some people just can't leave other people alone. No matter what happens. They just can't leave each other alone. So you know what? Do y'all thing. Do y'all. Do you. You know what I'm saying? That's how I be feeling. Like that's okay. Y'all do y'all thing. They both downplay each other. I don't know why. They both love. This is the crazy part too. It starts off with the downplay from both sides, the bickering, back and forth, yelling, arguing. I don't know. You ain't this. You ain't that. You know what I'm saying? All type of stuff. What you don't do, what you do. All type of stuff. But then this is what happened. Man, your mama was a really good person. I really loved your mama. It was like my best friend. Oh, and here come mama. Man, I love your dad. He always my husband. Hey, man, he's a great person. He got great values. He do that great stuff. But then in the same breath, but I can't stand it. But I was just like, you know what? Like, do y'all hate each other or love? Like, honestly, at this point, man, that's why I really just focus on me and do what I do, and then you know what I'm saying, because it's gonna happen again. It got to the point where I just wait for the phone call, and then as soon as something happens, what pops do or what moms do, you know what I'm saying? It got to that point. So yes, each side downplays each other, but each side talks great about each other. It's just a back and forth thing.
Now I know through history when either parent move on and get in another relationship or marriage, whatever, or have kids, one person always, and just from my experience, is always the female who trying to make it think to the child that he put another child before them. How that happened to you?
I'll put it this way. I can't recall like hardcore evidence that it has happened, but I definitely got enough to say that I do feel like that is somewhat happening. Um, I've gotten a few messages that have been more so like, well, you do more for one than you do for the other. I have received some communications like that, but I don't have I don't have hardcore evidence to say that that is what's happening. I mean, based on when I do talk to my kids, it does seem as if like they know who I am. They know that I do love them. It just seems to be just more so issues between me and the mom. So it kind of seemed like it's that way. Like I said, it's easy to make assumptions or it's easy to assume something's happening, but that's where things usually go bad at is assuming that this is happening or assuming that that is happening when in reality might be a whole different case. Reality might be a completely different case. So
Right.
yeah,
Because well, we all know that once you get married to someone who have children, it's like you take on that role
yeah,
as a biological.
you instantly become like the step parent.
Right. So therefore, knowing that your dad got remarried, did his new wife, like neglect you, or did you feel neglected by her, or did she not support you, or
No, I
did she
didn't feel
support
neglected.
you?
I didn't feel neglected at all. I did feel supported. Definitely felt supported. There was a lot of times where I needed help, and she came through. Big help too. Like I ain't talking like little help, big help. And she did come through. So and no, I know. So no, and I don't. I personally don't feel neglected at all by the new wife. Um, I didn't feel that way. I didn't. I felt like I said, things were pretty normal. She definitely helped me out when she could. And I mean, yeah, I didn't feel no type of way. Like I didn't feel like she treated me bad or wrong. I didn't feel that.
Okay. Well, now that you're a father yourself, what would you do differently than your dad did now that you in a home with your daughter?
Well, I know one thing I told myself. I try to promise man, I can't talk. I try to promise myself not to do, which is argue in front of my kids. I try not to do that because if you do, they can hear it, they can see it, they can feel it, and I feel like for a child should be mainly focused on living their life. Living their life, having fun. Because when you become an adult, like the saying goes, you gonna wish you was a kid again, and it's the truth. Like matter of fact, it's a song I used to listen to all the time, and trying to see if I can remember the one specific lyric where it was pretty much like, I'm not young anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. I forgot how the exact lyrics go, but dude, that
Back in
song
the
used to.
day when I was
Yeah,
young,
when I was young, I'm not a kid
yeah.
anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid. It's the truth. So I won't. I for my kids, I try not to argue in front of them. I try to be the role model that they should see. I try to be. Of course, we fall short every now and then, but I just want the majority of their childhood to be an actual childhood. Have fun. Go. Just enjoy being here. Don't worry about expenses. And sure, I do want to try to be able to get them anything that they want, of course. But it's more so just enjoy your little young life while you got it.
Okay. Do your parents know how you felt when they were together and versus
Yes.
when they separated or broken up?
Maybe not when I was younger, but when I got older, I definitely let it be known. Oh yeah, on both sides. Nah, I let that be known because I'm like, dude, that it caused some pretty big mental trauma. I'm not gonna lie, that I still deal with to this day. Matter of fact, me and my sister still deal with it to this day. We may not talk about it much, but it definitely caused some things. The biggest things though that caused this mental trauma though would definitely have been the physical altercation with my dad and my mom. That would be the biggest thing that caused a lot of the trauma. But I definitely let it be known to them though as I got older. Both of them. Oh yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, do you have any advice to tell anyone that are,
Um,
newly together or?
like, I mean, okay, I can give a little bit of advice on relationships because I've been
Yes.
seeing a lot more, posts on social media, a lot more uh, separations happening between people. I'm gonna say this: relationships are not hard. They're not hard to get into at all. But people have to understand that you have two different worlds coming together to combine into one. Obviously, things are not going to be perfect. Things are not going to be how you may see your idol relationship or idol person is. But a person can become perfect for you or at least do their best for you. So, my advice, honestly, is be willing to compromise and be willing to understand. Not everybody lived the same life that you did. So you have to come into a relationship with an open mindset. Be willing to accept new ideas. Be willing to accept new differences. Some people believe other stuff. People do other stuff. People have a. I know some people got a morning routine, getting up in the morning and they go take a jog. If you got somebody else who may not want that, that's okay. But you got to be willing to compromise and at least come to an even ground somewhere. There has to be a common ground somewhere. And I feel like nowadays most people want it to be their way or no way. It just doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. You have to be able to sit down. You got to be able to talk. You got to be able to communicate. And there's going to be hard times. No relationship is easy. Relationships are not easy. They're not at all. But y'all can make it easier on each other if you just learn to compromise. You're not always right. You're not always right. And that goes for anybody, men and women. You're not always right. It's okay to be wrong. It is okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. That's the main thing I see nowadays. Everybody want to be right. Everybody want to be heard. Everybody wants to be right. Nobody wants to be wrong. Take accountability. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right.
Give us an idea of what type of person your mom was and what type of person your dad was. Let us know. I'm trying to visualize it. Give us an idea of what type of person was your mom and
My
what type of person was
mom,
your dad.
my mom, as NLE would say, hot head. She'll crash in a second. You speaking on who? Yeah, she'll send you to heaven. No, okay. My mama was kind of like that. My mama high head, man. My mama cool, but my mama cool people though. I promise you, my mama cool people. Probably one of the coolest people you'll meet. I promise you. She's super cool. Just don't get on the wrong side, especially when it comes to the kids. When it comes down to the kids, she will, snap in a heartbeat in a second. Even though it could be something not even bad towards us, but if she gets that thought of it being bad, she'll snap. Now I will say though, my mama do kind of get. I do feel as if my mom gets stuck in her ways a little bit when she feels very strongly about something. I do feel like once she gets to that point, it's kind of her way or no way. I do feel like that. Uh, but it's but I will say this though, she's gotten better with that. She's gotten more open to accepting new differences, accepting new things. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely a high head, but a very sweet, kind, giving person though. My dad, my dad is more laid back. He's more always in something, but at the same time, whenever you call him, it's I'm just chilling. But he always in something though. Some always going on. It's always something going on. Now he's a hothead too, but I think he's. How do I explain there? I'm gonna put it this way. My mama snap off quick, boom. Once it's all over and done with, cool. Might talk about it a little bit afterwards, but then it's gone. My dad is more so. He a high head too, except his doesn't get as hot as my mama's. His just lasts longer than my mama's. He's more so the quiet high head, the quiet high head. You do something to him, oh, he gonna remember it, and he gonna want to get his revenge. He gonna remember until he get his lick back. It's gonna stay in his head. It's gonna stay there, and it's gonna stay there for a very long time. I thought I hold grudges. Nah, nah. They gonna remember that. But he cool peoples too, though. Honestly, very sweet, very nurturing, very caring, very giving. Um, just they're both kind of hotheads. And I told him this. I told him this. I said I feel like both of y'all issues is y'all both get mad too quick, too quick. Y'all get mad way too quick. Both very loving, kind individuals, just not for each other. I honestly feel that way. It'd be great for the right person, but I don't know. I just think those two angers, they just clash a little too often. And like I said, my mama is more of a snap at that moment, get it done, handle it, get in and out. My dad is more of a, I'm not going, depending on the situation, but he's not going to snap right away. He'll try to be reasonable, maybe even try to, talk about things here and there to try to stop it from growing to that point. But usually that never happens. And so he's more of a, I'm gonna just go blow your car up when you sleep. I'm gonna inconvenience your life as much as I possibly can. That's more so that way, So but again though, not to put them in a bad spot. They're both very, very kind, very giving, very loving people. Just don't feel like it's for each other. You know what I'm saying? It's just that way.
All right. The last question I have here. Um, do you think it's best that, given in your situation, when all the arguing and everything, yelling, the physical and everything, that it's best that the parent, somebody would have left, or do you think it was better
Yes.
they should have stayed and continued on?
Left, left. And the reason why I say that is because I wouldn't have had to deal with the physical abuse that was going on. My sisters wouldn't have had to deal with it. Sure, it would have sucked growing up with two separate households, but I feel like a lot of the trauma that was caused because of them being together could have been avoided.
And how long was your parents married for before?
I'm not sure. I want to say like 15 years. I want to say like 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was married for a long time. I know they was together for a very long time.
So technically, it sounds like one should have left a long time ago. Maybe you wouldn't have been dealt with so much.
Yes, I 100% agree. I do feel like that. But again, it's very honorable that they fought for it and they tried to make it work for us. It's very honorable, very respectful thing to do. But I think in this case, it would have been better if it just would have separated and just had us grow up with a happy. Because the way I look at it too, in their regards, it was a lot of time that was invested. 15 years is like a lot of time invested, only to end up separated and unhappy. When in reality, you could have just separated all those years ago, learned how to co-parent and be friends, and been happy. But those years ago, instead of using all that time to try and make it work or figure things out, I don't know. I just feel like it could have progressed with life a lot sooner than it did.
It's funny you mention that. So I know it says the last question, but you just made me think of another one. How long was your parents together before they got married?
6 years. I know they met back in school days. I'm talking like kind of like high school sweethearts. Like,
wow, so it's history.
Yes, they definitely got a lot of history with each other. They got a lot of history with each other, which is why I try to say, like, I don't put blame off on one. I don't say this person was worse than that person. I don't try to do that because obviously I don't know everything, but at the same time, it just feels like I just kind of wish they both would have just moved on with their lives, learned how to co-parent, and just did their own thing. Okay. I feel like the stress levels, the points that currently at in life wouldn't be here if they just had separated and focused on themselves.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you on the show. What I'm going to do?
Yeah, no problem.
In conclusion, it seems like that, according to you, if you're not going to be great parents together with the child in the house, it's best to separate or leave each other alone and don't have to co-parent.
Yeah, and I'm sure, maybe some other people probably feel differently about that. That's obviously a very hard decision to make.
Right.
But I care more about the kids than I would for myself. I would want to fight for it. You know, God knows you'll want to fight for love. Nobody wants to not feel loved, but at the same time, if I do feel like you know within yourself when it's time to give up. You know
Right.
within yourself. It's just it's just one how my saying that I didn't create the saying, but it's just how it goes. Sometimes the best decisions are the hardest ones to make,
Right.
and that's just the truth.
So 3 things should never happen then, of what I'm hearing. The physical abuse should not never happen. The mental abuse should not never happen. And the third one, the arguing in front of the child
And I know
should
arguments are
not happen.
inevitable. It's gonna happen. You know, arguments are bound to happen, but I think there's just a time and place for a lot of things, and
Right.
it usually in front of the kids or around the kids is never the time or place.
Okay. Everybody, thanks for joining into my Mopod. If you have anything that you want to talk about, be a guest on the show, you can email me at mopodtalks@gmail.com. That's MOEPODTALKS@gmail.com. Email me. Please give me likes, share the video, and I will leave the link to
Yeah,
his video
check it out, y'all.
therapy session. Is it just one video or is it several videos?
I got 2 of them out in videos. The rest are just songs.
Are you planning on releasing those?
It's in talks. It's in talks. I am considering redoing like re-recording the vocals and kind of redoing the beat and stuff. So it's in talks. It's in talks.
And this is about your life, your experiences growing up as a child, things of that
Yes.
nature. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, if it's like that, we all looking forward to hearing it. And I'll leave description for you at the bottom. Thanks
Cool.
for joining the Mopod Show.
See ya.
Peace.